Air raids have been declared across Ukraine after fresh calls from President Zelensky for his country to join NATO and the EU.
The headlines. President Zelensky tells a summit of European leaders there's an urgent need for Ukraine to join NATO and the EU for the security of the West.
Every European country that borders Russia and that does not want Russia to tear it apart should be a full member of the EU and NATO.
Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov attends the BRICS nations meeting in South Africa, but events have been overshadowed by the question of whether the Russian president would be arrested if he attends the summit in August. Meanwhile, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov is in South Africa. That's where a summit of major economies, the so-called BRICS group, will take place in August. But South Africa is coming under pressure whether President Putin will be allowed to attend after the International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant for him over war crimes in Ukraine. The name BRICS comes from the initials of the 5 key member states, so they are Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. And because of the presence of China and India in particular, they represent 43% of the world's population, with more than 3.25 billion people living in those 5 countries. Together, they now account for a slightly larger share of the world's economy than the G7 group of nations, which includes the UK and the US. And the share of BRICS economies is set to be more than half of the world's GDP by 2030. The British government launches a legal challenge to try and avoid handing over Boris Johnson's full WhatsApp messages to the COVID inquiry.
Plus, can you spell pressure? America's best young spellers battle it out in the final of the Scripps National Spelling Bee.
President Biden has tripped and fallen over at a graduation ceremony for the US Air Force Academy in Colorado. Mr. Biden, who's 80, had been standing for about an hour and a half, shaking hands with hundreds of cadets. He said he tripped on a sandbag and was helped up by officials, but walked back to his seat unaided.
And finally, we want to leave you with some amazing pictures from today's royal wedding in Jordan, where Crown Prince Hussein married his fiancée, Saudi architect Rajwa Al Saif. Britain's Prince William and his wife Kate were among the royals from around the world at the ceremony, but their attendance was actually kept a secret from the media until just before the event. And this is the moment that the 28-year-old heir to the throne exchanged rings with his bride in front of their families and 140 guests. The newly titled Princess Rajwa chose a modern gown by a Lebanese designer, and her something borrowed was Queen Rainier's Arabic script diamond tiara. And the couple left for the reception in a white open-top 1984 Range Rover that was specially customed for the late Queen Elizabeth's visit to the country that year. That is it.